Nothing is ever easy in Barcelona land. Despite signing a player this week, which I have covered in great detail on the channel and podcasts, a number of negative stories have rolled in like storm clouds and are rolling all over those headlines. Welcome to episode 704 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I am Dan Hilton, and this top five has been rewritten about 20 times since Wednesday, and the information is already probably wrong. As of time of recording, Barca is going to Japan, and is playing in a match at 6 a.m. East Coast time on Sunday morning. I had to wait to release this because that wasn't a guarantee, but now it is, so please join me on Sunday morning on Big Up for the preseason opener. I know it's super early for U.S. fans, but that sounds like a pretty great way to start the day to see me. Well, maybe not the best way, but at least to see Barcelona kick off their preseason. I will see you on Sunday on Big Up, but for now, let's dive into the top 5 news of the week. And keeping the focus on that Japan tour, headline 1 is going after all. The Vissel Kobe match was on, then it was off, and now, fortunately, it is on again, and please no more surprises. The club did suspend the match due to contractual breaches on behalf of the promoter, D-Drive, but that promoter came out with a public statement that they really weren't at fault here. The promoter was due to receive payments from the Asuda group that never arrived. The solution, old shirt sponsor Rakuten, who stepped up to cover the financial costs, that paved the way for Barcelona to finally travel to Japan, albeit a day later than originally planned, which shouldn't be a big issue. The 30 players that are going on that tour, with the 3 games in Japan and South Korea, 4 keepers, Joan Garcia, Szczesny, Naki Peña, and Cochin, 10 defenders, Cubarsí, Balde, Araujo, Inigo Martinez, Christensen, Kounde, Eric Garcia, Hector Fort, Gerard Martin, and Jofre Torrents, 9 midfielders, Gabi, Pedri, Fermin Lopez, Casado, Olmo, De Jong, Bernal, Joe Fernandez, and Guy Fernandez, and 7 attackers, Rashford, Bargi, Ferran Torres, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, and Tony Fernandez. So absolutely no surprises there. It's 24 first-team players and 6 youth players in Bargi, Cochin, Jofre, Dro, Tony, and Guy Fernandez. I did have a thread on Twitter. I ordered the excitement for each player going on the tour, but that is something that I'm going to be covering in. Basically, one big question for every player. We're going to talk a little bit about that on the watch along on Big Up, and I'm also obviously going to be having content focusing on the actual first team more and more as we get closer to the start of the actual season. With that list of youth players, that means a few are not going, and that list does include Landy Ferre, John Virgili, and Joan Hernandez. They all returned to Barca Athletic when they kicked off their preseason this week, and unfortunately, Ibrahim Diarra got injured and will be out for a few weeks. Players for Barca Athletic also included Oscar Gustau, Saman Namoko, Diego Cochin, Shane Kluivert, Xavi Aspar, and Abdul Aziz Issa has returned on loan for another year. All of those players are ones that I profiled in La Masia Talks with Arsene, as well as in YouTube Shorts on the YouTube channel. So again, I am excited to continue to watch as a current generation that is still very good. Some are going on the preseason tour, while some are already in the first team, and some are in Barca Athletic who will have a chance throughout the season. Headline 2 is Pau Victor Off to Braga. That deal went official today. So I was also waiting on finishing these headlines before that deal went official. So he has now been confirmed. That is going to happen. And the numbers that we are seeing, it's 12 million and a further 3 million in add-ons. It's a club record transfer for the Portuguese club in Braga, and the move went official today. Braga, of course, you know that Barcelona has done business with them recently with Francisco Trincao. He came for 30 million. And I guess Braga said, all right, we'll give you an inflated number in reverse. Because I do really like that 12 million euro and the further 3 million add-ons. I know that there's no sell-on fee, but that's totally fine because no offense to Pau Victor, I do think Barcelona is selling at his highest possible market value potentially. That's a really good number, that being 12 mil for a player that scored just 2 goals in a top flight and is 23 years old. He played 29 total times last season in less than 400 minutes, but you can see that he has the tools to break out if a team relies on him more, and the league isn't as challenging as it is in Spain. So sorry, but I guess not sorry, Portugal. So yes, people can cry about no sell-on, but I don't know. I think the fact that Braga are spending that much money on a player that is still at 23, largely unproven, that's a really good piece of business for Barcelona that we don't often give that sporting director and his crew much credit. Headline 3 is ter Stegen surgery. And did I mention those dark clouds rolling over the club? Well, they're coming in the form of a German goalkeeper, because this week he did announce that he will have that surgery. And ter Stegen, in his post on social media, said that he would be out for 3 months. And that begs the question, is ter Stegen trying to make things difficult for the club? It has been reported that Barcelona took the keeper's announcement that he will have surgery and be out for 3 months instead of the 4 to 5 months, which Barca's medical team originally thought, as something to cause an issue in registering Joan Garcia. What would happen now if things don't change from ter Stegen's side of things? La Liga's medical tribunal will have to look at the case if Barca's medical team disagrees with the player. If the La Liga tribunal thinks that he will be out for more than 4 months, Barca will be able to use 80% of his salary to register players. If not, it's a big problem for the club. I have said this for a while now. It has felt like the club could have handled the situation with him better. That's not a defense of ter Stegen. That's saying the club could have handled this better, because obviously he could have also handled this better. He is a 10-year veteran of the club and a captain, and I think two things can be true in this situation. He has been replaced. Injuries have made him unreliable, and a back injury cannot be trusted at his age, and he has not been at his best for a few seasons now. So the club did replace him, which they have a right to do. Unfortunately, he had financially done right by the club, deferred his wages, and he is still owed the money that is in his salary. It's two sides thinking that the other side owe them more than they are willing to give. Whatever side you agree with is whichever side you think has a right to ask for what they think they're owed. Our fourth piece of news is a stadium update, which is what we've been doing all summer throughout these top five. But actually, the headline is, again, that there is really no update, which that's bad news because that means we're focusing on ter Stegen and his salary to register players, which is not ideal. Again, the club has put themselves in that situation. It's looking like it could be most weak again until January for this season. And Laporta spoke this week, and as Laporta does, he had a really good argument. I will say a really good argument, even if it came off maybe as naive. He had scheduled a return when the company said the project would be done. And even though everyone and their mother knew it wouldn't be done on time, it is a construction project in Spain. Are you kidding me? Of course, everyone knew that it was not going to be done on time. But Laporta said he kept that deadline, even if he knew that maybe it wasn't done on time, so that the company would be operating with a deadline with a penalty as well. Unfortunately, that financial penalty will not make up for the lost revenue from a bigger and renovated stadium. And I will remind people, the Espai Barca project was originally approved by the club members in April of 2014, just to make some of us feel old. Construction on the Johan Cruyff Stadium, which has been great for the feminine Barca Athletic, started in September of 2017, and the Camp Nou renovation began in June of 2023. I'll remind you again, these things take time, and Laporta is a politician, where time and elections are usually not on your side. That's just the way it goes. And our fifth piece of news, and something that I think is good news, is Koundé's contract extension. It looks like Kounde will be sticking around at the club for a while, with next week, the week to officially put pen to paper to keep him around until 2030. Right now, he is at 13.5 mil per season, making him the sixth highest earner behind Lewandowski, De Jong, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, and Rashford. And I do actually expect his salary to just about stay the same and maybe get a little bit of a boost in add-ons and appearance fees and all those different things. But the guaranteed money on that deal for the 26-year-old has him covered now until he's in his 30s with signing this extension. So that means that all the major core pieces of the club will be locked up until at least 2028. Inigo Martinez is up in 2026, and Tech is up in 2027, but anybody under 30 is around until at least 2028. De Jong is the only exception, but his contract that ends next summer will also likely be extended as well. I would expect over the next few weeks you to hear much more about the De Jong stuff. I think the club is just trying to register the players that have been brought in and the new signings, as well as get Lamine Yamal, Kounde, and those other contract extensions registered on the books. Then kind of worrying about De Jong, which will De Jong's camp take exception to it? I mean, maybe, but there's been enough bad blood between those two sides. Now it seems like they're willing to get a deal done. And very much like the Japan tour, where there is a will, there's a way. So I do hope you will join me on Sunday morning, again, 6 a.m., bright and early, East Coast time, for that match against Vissel Kobe, where I am very excited to see, just to give you a little bit of a primer on who I'm most excited to see. He's not going to get a lot of minutes, probably won't even play against Vissel Kobe, but Dro Fernandez, a lot of Kool-Aids don't necessarily know who he is and the way they do the Fernandez cousins, but there's a reason why Dro Fernandez is on that plane, and I'm very excited to potentially see the reason why. I may know it, but it's time for you to figure it out too. And until then, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, help me out on the podcast apps, help me out on Patreon, and as always, until next time, Barca.